my channel. Thank you for joining me today. So I'm going to take you through a meal prep. So I do one of these, I would say every couple of weeks to every month. And so majority of these foods I do put in the freezer, but I'm gonna take you through everything that I made. So I do these on the weekend typically, and I have to fit them in during nap times and when the kids are in bed and everything like that. So it takes a lot of effort to make food for yourself and for your family, but to me that's something that's really important, is to have home cooked meals. And to be quite honest, we don't have the budget to eat out, and we don't have the budget for a lot of convenience foods. So this is what works for us. So I like to have lunches in the freezer for work. I do also take leftovers, but this is what I use on the days that I don't have any leftovers and I need something to take to work. And then I also prep things for my child for daycare. So I hope you stick around. I will say this is the first video on my channel that I posted in a really long time, and my content is going to be a lot different this time. So I hope to focus on meal planning, meal prepping, grocery hauls, and everything relating to home cooked food.
First up, we have breakfast burritos. So I love breakfast burritos as meal prep because they're super easy to throw together and they freeze really well. So first I started with some bacon and I baked that in the oven on 400 degrees Fahrenheit for, I would say, about 25-ish minutes until it was done and crispy. And then I cut up some vegetables. So I had some onion cut up, and then I had some peppers in the freezer, so I used those. And I'm just sauteing them, and then I used, I think, 18 eggs, if I'm remembering correctly. And then I put a little bit of milk, maybe about a 1/4 cup of whole milk, and then I put salt and pepper and whisked those eggs really well so they were all nice and fluffy. And then I just cooked those regular scrambled eggs, and then I assembled everything, wrapped it in foil. After everything had cooled, I put them all in the freezer in Ziploc bags. Next up, I have these oat peanut butter chocolate coconut bars, and these were so good. I have pulled these out of the freezer multiple times, and they heat up really well and they hold their texture really well. And they're just an easy way to use items that you probably already have on hand, and you could change up the ingredients if you wanted to do something like strawberries or berries instead of coconut. So there's really just so many different options you have for this. So I will have the recipe down below for these. Next, I'm making some berry oatmeal bites for my child for daycare, so they are not able to bring anything that needs warmed up. So these are a good option, and again, these froze really well, and they've been easy just to defrost in the fridge overnight and then just cut them up before heading out the door for daycare. Next up, we have some more muffins. So these are some chocolate Greek yogurt muffins, and my oldest really loves any type of muffins. So sometimes I make these with cocoa powder, sometimes I make these with just chocolate chips. Today I decided to do double chocolate, so I will put the recipe below for how I made these, but these turned out really good and they taste good cold or warmed up. Next up, we have a lunch for daycare. So This is a pizza pinwheel or pizza pastry puff, whatever you want to call it. So I have some marinara and I used a little bit of cheese. And this is one puff pastry, frozen, that I thawed. So I just spread that on there, and then I put some parsley on top. I rolled this up as tightly as I could and very carefully cut it, and then I baked it on 350 for I think around like 14 or 15 minutes, but I'll put the recipe in the description below. And next up, I'm starting on some sourdough options. So first up, I have some sourdough Pop-Tarts. This was a first for me, but they turned out really well. So I will link the recipe. It's not my recipe, but it's if I can find it, I will link the recipe that I used. So this was really good. It just used sourdough starter directly from the fridge. And yeah, these turned out great. They were really good. My oldest didn't really like them, but my husband did like them. And there are so many different options you can make with these. So many different flavor combinations you could do. You could go classic Pop-Tarts. You could do something really fun. So yeah, there's so many options, and I will definitely be making some more in the future and probably use this base recipe. The only thing I would have changed about this recipe, I think, is to bake it maybe like 1 or 2 minutes less than the recipe called for. So I am pretty new to sourdough. This is maybe the 5th time that I've baked loaves. So every Sunday I bake 2 loaves. In this most recent time, not in this video, but later on as I'm recording this, I made 4 loaves. So I feel like I'm getting more in the groove of it and understanding the process a little bit more. And so it's just been really fun. It's been a really fun hobby to have. And yeah, there's so many different things you make with sourdough. I recently made some cookies and stuff, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the bread. So I like to do my loaves 2 at a time or 4 at a time, just depending on how much time I have on the weekend. So I'm definitely not perfect, and I still have a lot to learn, but like I said, it's been so fun and it's been rewarding because, you know, you go through this whole process, it's time consuming, and then at the end of the day or end of the 2 days, you have some fresh bread that can feed yourself and your family, and it's just really awesome. So if you haven't gotten on the sourdough train, I recommend you give it a try if you are up for a new project. And then lastly here, I am making some Philly cheesesteak rice. So this is going in the freezer for my husband and I for lunches throughout the next couple of weeks for times, like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, that we don't have any leftovers and just need something to quickly grab. So I will put the recipe below for how I made this. You can kind of put a different spin on this however you want to do it. I just made this recipe up on the fly and it turned out really well. So I will have that below, and when I make things like this, when I make meals for the freezer, I like to have them individually portioned so that whenever I take it out of the freezer the night before to thaw in the refrigerator, it's already portioned for me. I don't have to worry about it because I truly want this to be a super quick grab and go to reduce the stress and reduce the thought of, I guess, going out to eat, or the temptation of going out to eat, or eating something that wouldn't be as nutritious or filling because I felt like it was going to take too much time. That's all I have for today's video. Thank you so much for watching today. Don't forget to subscribe for future videos, and I hope to see you in the future. Thanks.